Doom legend John Romero is coming back to the genre that he helped define, the first-person shooter. Via Romero Games job ad, quote, Romero Games is hiring for an all-new FPS. Join the team. It's a new dawn for Romero Games. We're working with a major publisher to develop John Romero's next shooter, an all-new FPS with an original new IP. Our team is expanding, and we're looking for talented people for all positions and at all experience levels. There you go, Mike. Particularly those with Unreal Engine 5 experience.
That's the 69 position, baby.
Karan Hazaman, or whatever his name is. So tell me more about this, Winnie. I know nothing about this. I learned this when you put this in the run sheets.
I mean, that's all there is to it that we know at the moment.
Okay.
But it is big news considering that outside of the the work that he did on we'll talk a bit about John Romero in a second, but like on Sigil, the Doom map pack he put out.
Yeah, which we're showing the B-roll for, which I've played a bit. It's pretty cool actually.
It looks really sick, yeah.
Like it's been a long time since he's worked on like a brand new, first-person shooter, and that was his bread and butter. That's what made him a name in the industry. And for a while, he was like the top name in the industry alongside Carmack and that. But in terms of anyone that doesn't know who John Romero is, so he's one of the founders of id Software alongside John Carmack and Tom Hall. So he's been working in the industry since 1982, like this guy, and he's still making games, obviously. And it's most known for Wolfenstein 3D, Doom 2, Heretic, Hexen, and Quake, alongside a lot of other titles like Commander Keen games and stuff like that. He's worked on a bunch of stuff. And after Quake was finished, I think due to like differences he was having with Carmack at the time, which I'm sure is documented well I'm guessing that's covered in Masters of Doom, isn't it?
Yeah, totally. And can I just say, I was glad you brought it up. I've read that book 2 times. That book is so freaking amazing. Like, I love that book so much. I don't know if you guys have read it. I'm sure
I haven't.
You have.
I really want to, though.
Swinny, you've read it, yeah?
No, I haven't read it yet. I've always
really?
wanted to. So
it's such a good book. It genuinely is a good book.
And Carmack is actually played by one of the actors from the latest season of Stranger Things in the TV movie they're doing.
I didn't know they're doing a TV movie. That's crazy. Yeah. Okay.
Cool.
But
he's got really nice hair.
After Quake was finished, he left id Software and formed Iron Storm. So Iron Storm was, they didn't put out a lot of titles, but they produced some classics like Deus Ex. They was it like Anachronox and Thief, the third Thief game.
But did they produce it? It's almost like published it, I think.
No, there were two Iron Storm studios.
Yeah.
So
but it had nothing to do with it's John Romero though.
No, it was Iron Storm. That's what I'm saying. Like it's still Iron Storm. It was an Iron Storm studio. Anyway, like we're not talking about those games right now. So, but the important part is like one of the flagship titles for Iron Storm was Daikatana, and unfortunately that game just obviously did not go down in history as a success for various reasons. It was infamous for its ad that's basically, it was built on obviously Romero's reputation about, John Romero's going to make you his bitch, things like that. And when the game got delayed and didn't really deliver for, the majority of people played it. I never actually tried it, so I can't judge Dr.
I've played
myself.
it.
I played it way back.
That, it really did scar his reputation for a long time. And I think he's done so much work to repair that over the years, and I'm really excited now that he's back at the point where he feels that he wants to make another FPS. Honestly, if I was a game developer and I was obviously experienced enough, I would jump at the chance to bloody work on a Romero FPS.
Totally.
I think that would be such a cool experience because the guy's clearly awesome at level design and concepts and obviously he's a programmer as well.
Such an influence in the industry.
Yeah. So I just think this is awesome news.
And it's I agree. And I think if you don't have much experience in the industry, it would be an amazing way to get experience. But I think if you've got any, any placement in the industry, it would be insane to go work with him because, and I mean, this is covered really effectively in Masters of Doom. But he needs someone like a John Carmack. He needs that person as a foil to, balance out his, what he wants to do and his ambitions. And he just, his idea of what Quake should have been was insane. It was like insane, and it would have never worked. You'd never be able to build it, and you can kind of totally understand what happened with Daikatana because he kept on just, running away with ideas without constraints, and it just got away from him. So I don't know. I'd actually be really.
But I mean, that was
cautious
more
about
than 20 years ago. Like, I would look. Obviously, the people's past actions are, a good. You can judge people on what their future actions are going to be based on past actions. But
some of the dumb shit I've done.
I think that like over 20 years is a long time, and he's worked on a lot of games in between. And Romero Games have been around since since 2015 now. So I think look, I'm really going to give him the benefit of the doubt here. Now this game's obviously a long way off. We're not going to know what this is for a long time.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's cool news.
And you should go play Sigil, Swinny. It's actually like, how there's so many Doom packs and fan packs and all this other kind of stuff. Ultimate Doom with the extra levels that were not made by id people really. But when you go play Sigil, you're like, fuck, this actually feels like legit and official in a weird way. Like kind of exactly like a Nintendo thing where you play a Mario level that Nintendo properly makes and you're like, it feels like a Mario thing. It's so hard to replicate. And you should go play Sigil. It's actually the best shit that like John Romero has done in the last 20 years, in my opinion. I don't mean that in an offensive way. So I'm on board, like, with checking it out. I'll definitely be checking it out. I just hope it's not a like loot driven, microtransaction fueled battle royale type of thing, and it's like just a straight up FPS, right?
I feel like he's the kind of old school guy that would just do a straight up FPS, don't you reckon?
I hope so. I think so. He's wide like that, I think. It actually reminds me of one thing I forgot to say in the Stray review, which was
Jesus Christ,
which was the Half-Life.
That's like the running joke.
Which was like the Half-Life influence, Swinny, of some of the enemies. Yeah.
Yeah. What's up? Yeah. I know. I was like, I thought I was playing a Half-Life game.
Yeah. I just wanted to say that like I forgot about that. I was just watching the B-roll and I was thinking, shit, I forgot to mention that.
A quick one on Doom and related to John Romero. It's amazing that to this day people still make mods, people still port it, people still try to put it on certain systems. The game is bloody old and it's still something that people do, and you can still play versions of it today. Sure, there's other games like that, but it's when I think about the game that people are still porting, still playing, still building mods for and all this shit, it's probably the one. And it's amazing that this dude created that.
Yeah.
The
game's iconic, man. I remember going to my Polish mate Jeremy's house when I was in primary school. And it was the first time.
I'm trying to understand the relevance of saying Polish mates.
And Jeremy, like, we don't even know this guy.
I don't know. Like,
he's just trying to throw names out there. Oh, you go.
Polish friend.
Jeremy the Pole. Oh, everyone knows Jeremy the Pole.
My French friend.
No, but like
Pierre.
No, but we grew up in a really multicultural place, right? So it's like you got to see people's influences and stuff like that, right?
So what, did he have like cabbage rolls or something?
Yeah, exactly. He wrestled me at the door. But but I remember, dude, I still remember the time when I first saw, because I played Wolfenstein 3D.
His penis.
I literally ordered from id directly. We wrote a letter to them posting a check, and then they sent back. I've got to try to look for this shit because it was all handwritten and stuff.
Yeah.
They sent back Spear of Destiny in like 3.5-inch floppies, right?
Sick.
And like with a note from Texas, right? Like I remember it. I was like, oh, Texas, what's Texas, right? Because I was a little kid. I don't know why my parents were letting me play a game like that. But
yeah,
anyway,
I was going to say.
Fuck that.
It's funny how they didn't care back in the day. Yeah, whatever.
But that was like one thing. But then when I saw Doom at his house, I was like, holy fuck. This is like, I was like, that's Mario 64 and maybe Ocarina of Time are probably the three games that like. Yeah. And then, obviously seeing games for the first time, like Super Mario World, like all that kind of stuff. Like they were just like, whoa, what the fuck? This is like amazing. Yeah. So yeah, no.
I remember we had a neighbor who had a 19-inch monitor, CRT.
Yeah, dude. I had one of those.
Back in 1994 or 5 or something.
Bought Swinny,
whatever the hell this was.
Swinny's like, fuck off.
It blew me away. I had a shitty little monitor on my 480. Okay, it wasn't shitty. It was like 13, 14, I don't know, whatever number of inches on my 486 at the time. And
3 inches, right?
About 3 inches. Yeah. And then he gave me a copy of Doom. And I don't remember how old I would have been, about 11 at the time or something, and it was amazing.
And there's something for me about the fact that how optimized the games were. I was talking before the show started that
486,
Quake would run on a 386. I'm like,
That's
that's crazy, you know?
That's super crazy.
Like,
yeah.
people talk about the Switch and stuff like that. Like, we should be expecting more.
386, that's nuts.
It does. It runs. I remember running it on my 486 fine, but I was checking online. Yeah, you could run it on a 386. Totally insane. All right, let's carry on to the next one without Swinny.